Hello guys! So this is our first lesson for today, which is liabilities chapter 1. Okay, so we'll be papasadahan natin ng kaunti yung mga definitions, okay? Kasi parang this was tackled in conceptual framework if yung CFAS natin, if naabutan nyo siya. So reviewin lang natin yung konti yung definition ng liabilities, then how to present sa financial position and sa financial statement. Okay, so yan. So first, I don't know why my camera is grainy. Pero hindi naman siya grainy, So, yon. So, we have liabilities. Dinisect natin yung definition niya. They are present obligations of an entity. Present obligation, not future obligations. Although may topic tayo regarding provisions and contingent liabilities that tackles future obligations. So, titingnan natin, pagdating natin sa chapter na yun, ano yung exemption na sa halip na present, siya yung naging future obligation. Okay? So, present obligation, it may be yung obligation arises through law, through contractual agreement, or through constructive. Okay, ibig sabihin ng constructive obligation is, for example, nakasanayan mo na magbigay ng warranty sa headset mo kasi parang ang daming mga reklamo regarding within 7 days nasisira yung headset. So bilang tawag din bilang magandang customer service, nire-repair mo siya or di kaya nire-replace. So, even if wala talaga sa mismong terms na may warranty, because nakasanayan mo na magbigay, nagkakaroon ng constructive obligation tuloy yung mga customer mo na, ay, ganto pala, ganto, meron palang warranty siya, hindi niya sinasabi. So, yun yung constructive obligation. Contractual, syempre may kontrata. And then, through law, automatic, pag through law, as mandated by the law, meron ka automatic agad na obligation. Okay? So, we have next to transfer an economic resource. So, ang economic resource may be cash or non-cash asset. It may be receivables. It may be PPE, land. Okay? So, depende if there was a transfer between the creditor and the debtor to the creditor of an economic resource. Then, as a result of past events, it's not a future event, it's a past event. Okay? Ibig sabihin, nangyari na dapat yung event na yon in order to incur liabilities. Okay, these are the main considerations um, when you are evaluating at business transaction, if they are actually a liability or not, if they are worthy, if they are meant to be recognized or not. Okay, so yan. Next, we have examples of liabilities. We have accounts payable to suppliers for the purchase of goods. Okay, when dealing with accounts payable, you should know that this is held for trading. Ibig sabihin, sa normal everyday operations ng isang negosyo is may accounts payable from the suppliers. Kasi malimit, when you're a negosyo, mostly down payment lang. Tapos, kapag nabenta mo na lahat, saka na yung full payment, yung mga ganon. So, usual yun sa negosyo na hindi lahat binabayaran muna, down payment or may terms, installment, yung mga ganun. So, accounts payable yung supplier. Okay, and they are held for trading. Next, we have amounts withheld from employees for taxes and contributions to the SSS. We all know pag may trabaho is may trabahador ka, so may obligation ka through law, okay? Kasi mandated ng law na you have to contribute to the SSS, pag-ibig, and the PhilHealth of the employees. Okay, mandate yun ng law. Even yung mga kasambahay, meron na dapat. And then, mandated also ng law that you, as a negosyo, you have to withheld certain amount of income or yung pasahod mo sa empleyado for their taxes. Okay, so that's an obligation. Accruals of salaries, interest, rent, taxes, products, yan. When you say accruals, it's alam mong expense mo na siya pero hindi mo pa siya nababayaran. Siguro by year end or may date ka dapat na binabayar. Kung kailan mo siya babayaran, hindi siya umabot sa cut-off mo ng pag-recognize, let's say for the month end. Okay, so hindi pa siya umabot. So pag ganun, accruals pa lang siya pero ni-recognize mo na siya sa expense. Okay? We have cash dividends declared but not paid. So we all know that cash dividends is given by corporations as a form of returns, hindi man talaga return of investment, hindi man return on investment. Siguro return on investment. Okay, na yung investor nagbigay ng pera sa'yo, pinagkatiwala na palaguin, tapos ito, lumago nga, binalik mo yung parang excess, ang tawag doon is cash dividends. Okay? So, parang excess siya kung tuturing. So, pag dineclare na, okay, we will tackle this in the shareholders equity part. Pag dineclare na siya, but not yet paid, liability mo kasi sinabi mo, nag-announce ka na agad sa mga shareholders na makatanggap sila ng cash dividends pero hindi mo pa binibigay, obligation yun kasi nagsabi ka. Okay, deposits and advances from customers. So, ito is actually the unearned revenue. Alam niyo yung tandaan nyo before na ang deposits and advances from customers are parang cash advance. Ano na, magpapagawa sa'yo ng motor kasi ang negosyo mo is repair ng motor, nagpapagawa sa'yo ng motor, ayaw na maabala sa down payment installment kasi mayaman is, ito na ang bayad, magkano ba ito na ang bayad? So, hindi mo pa nagagawa yung repair, binayaran mo na agad, that's cash advance. So, ibig sabihin may liability ka na gawin yung pinagagawa ng customer sa'yo. That's a liability. Ano? Debt obligations for borrowed funds. So, yan, may encounter natin siya. We have notes payable, mortgage payable, and bonds payable. This is usually in transactions with financial institutions. Okay, mga utang. Okay? Income tax payable, that's mandated by the law kasi BIR. Okay? So, you have to pay income taxes. Okay? Ba't siya nagiging payable? Kasi baka hindi pa date ng pagbabayad. Okay? Gumawa ka na ahead of time, ni-record mo na ahead of time, pero dahil on April 15 pa ang date of payment for the annual, pero ni-recognize mo na siya agad, payable siya. Ano? Okay, unearned revenue, yun na nga yun, yung deposits and advances from customers. Okay? Next, measurement of current liabilities. This is current, current. Okay? So, we all know that sa presentation ng financial statement, we have current and non-current. So, sa current liabilities, okay, we have all liabilities are initially measured at present value and subsequently measured at amortized cost. You have to remember this. All liabilities are initially measured at present value. That's the fair value, yung present value niya. Okay, of the cash flows. Okay, nababother ako sa pagiging grainy ng aking video. Hindi ko siya na-adjust kanina. Anyway, so we have, then afterwards, you subsequently measure it at amortized cost. Okay? Then, however, current liabilities or short-term obligations are not discounted anymore but measured and reported at their face amount. Pag current na siya, bakit? Kasi daw, yung differences between the present value and the face amount is, pag current na, is masyadong immaterial na, masyadong malapit na sa isa't isa. Kahit may difference pa rin, immaterial na siya. Kaya, doon ka na lang sa face amount if current liabilities na siya. Okay? How about measurement of non-current liabilities? They are actually measured at present value. Kaya hindi nagbabago, present value siya, then subsequently measured at amortized cost. Okay? Ano ba yung amortized cost? Along the way, di-discuss natin. Okay? So, yan, current liabilities, PAS 1, paragraph 69 tells us the definition of current liability. So, a liability is considered current daw kapag the entity expects to settle the liability within the entity's operating cycle. Okay? You have to remember na hindi lahat ng businesses have the same operating cycle. There are some businesses na ang operating cycle is not 1 year, but more than 1 year. Okay, for example, yung mga cars, yung mga manufacturer ng cars, because the purchasing of raw materials, the manufacturing of the vehicle, testing, quality check, delivery, and even yung sa sales na, hindi siya usually 1 year lang. Okay, mostly 1.5 or 2 years. That's the normal operating cycle nila. Unlike kapag ikaw ay grocery store, usually 1 year lang yan. Kasi ang bilis naman ng turnover ng inventory ng groceries eh. Okay? So, you have to remember those things. Okay? the entity holds the liability primarily for the purpose of trading. Ito, automatic yan. Basta for the purpose of trading, ibig sabihin, ginagamit siya sa day-to-day operations ng negosyo para siya ay, parang yung negosyo is, ginagamit niya yung working capital niya. Okay? And the incur liability for the purpose of trading, automatic current liabilities siya. Okay? Then, we have the liability is due to be settled within 12 months after the reporting period. So, ibig sabihin, if you have a liability noong January 2020, by December 2020, current pa rin siya. By November 2021, because pumasok pa rin siya sa 12 months after the reporting period, okay, current pa rin siya. Okay, so you have to remember that the reporting period is December 31, 2020. Bilang ka ng 12 months, ibig sabihin hanggang December 31, 20, sorry, December 31, 2021, that's the current liabilities pa rin. Ano, so after the reporting period. Okay? Next, we have the entity does not have an unconditional right to defer settlement of the liability for at least 12 months after the reporting period. So, yung iba, parang familiar with the assets. Ano, parang hawig siya ng assets. Current assets na definition. This one is sa kanya lang. We have the entity does not have an unconditional right to defer settlement of the liability for at least 12 months. So, ibig sabihin, if nagkataong na-breach yung kontrata or if nagkataong maturity date na nung utang at wala kang power or capacity in order to persuade the financial institution or dun sa creditor mo na i-extend yung deadline, current liabilities na siya. Ano? Pag na-breach yung kontrata, current liabilities siya, subject to some exceptions. So, mamaya natin pag-uusapan yung mga exceptions na yun. Okay? Next, notes on current liability. So we have a liability which is due to be settled within 12 months after reporting period is classified as current even if these are the special cases. The original term was a period longer than 12 months. Okay, so even if daw yung original term ay lampas 12 months, basta siya ay tawag din na-breach yung kontrata. Okay, ito kasi ay with regards to breaching of the contract. Pag na-breach yung kontrata mo, expect na siya ay current na. Okay, so yun. Kahit walang sinasabi, basta nag-breach ng contract, ibig sabihin may nilabag ka doon sa kontrata, expect na current na siya. Okay, then the agreement to refinance or to reschedule payments, so ibig sabihin nag-uusap na kayo ng creditor and nagkasundo kayo na extend ay nangyari, nakapirmahan after the reporting period. Ibig sabihin, kung December 31 ang reporting period, nangyari January 1, nagkasundo kayo, nagkapirmahan na kayo, pero ang submission ng financial statement or authorized for issue sa mga shareholders ay March pa, pag pumasok sa timeline na yun na after the reporting period but before the issuance of the authorized financial statements, okay, current siya. Why? Kasi pagkatapos ng reporting period, okay, ibig sabihin before the reporting period, current talaga siya. Okay? Then nangyari yung parang adjusting event or the event after the reporting period, nangyari siya after but before the issuance of the financial statements, pumapasok pa rin siya as current. Ano? You have to remember that. Okay? So, again, notes, operating items are classified as current liabilities even if settled more than 12 months after the reporting period. So, yun nga yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Pag yung liabilities is used or is incurred due to its nature of being an operating item, ibig sabihin, gamit talaga siya sa day-to-day operations ng negosyo, even if ang due date niya is 12 months after the reporting period, current liabilities pa rin siya. Bakit? Kasi it is held primarily for trading. For operations, okay, for operations, and yun nga yung isa, basta it is held primarily for trading, current lagi siya. Example, accounts payable. Ano, so yun. Next, we have examples include accounts payable, financial liabilities held for trading, bank overdraft. You know what bank overdraft is? So, ang bank overdraft is you have two banks. Yung isang bank is may laman, yung isa if you're familiar with banking, meron mga yung compensating balance. If lumampas ka sa compensating balance, nagdeduct, parang penalty nung bank, nagdeduct siya doon sa laman, hanggat hindi mo napupunan yung compensating balance. So, for example, 2,000, nabawasan mo yung 2,000 kasi nakalimutan mo, naging 1,500 na lang. So, may penalty malimit yan, 300 ng 300 per month. Even, kapag hindi mo siya binabalik sa 2,000, then if naubos niya, 300 ka ng 300 ng 300 ng 300, okay, so you'll get, magklo-close siya. So, hindi siya actually bank overdraft, okay? Ang pinaka-best example ng bank overdraft is kapag nag-i-issue ka ng cheque, tapos ay hindi mo alam na na yung account mo pala is paubos na, nagkataong sabay nag-clear, yun yung term, nag-clear yung cheque, so sabay na pumasok dun sa account nung iyong creditors or suppliers mo, yung payment mo. So, ibig sabihin, nag-negative yung balance dun sa bank, that's the overdraft. Okay, nagpe-penalty malimit ang kumpanya or even nagba-bounce. So, yun yung malimit bank overdraft scenario. Okay, so yan. I hope that's clear sa inyo. The bank overdraft. Saan ba siya okay, sa cash. Diniscuss yung cash in bank overdraft. Okay, so, familiar na kayo. Okay? Next, non-current liability. So, a non-current, residual definition lang, all liabilities na classified as current are non-current. Di ba? Bilis. So, example, so these are usually the line items, pero examples are non-current portion of a long-term debt. So, if matagal pang babayaran for 5 years, yung first year to the portion na sakop ng after the reporting period ng long-term debt current. Then the rest, non-current. We have finance lease liability. So, encounter natin yan in the future. Okay? Future future chapters ngayong SEM. We have deferred tax also. Long-term obligations to officers also. Then, long-term deferred revenue. Basta long-term siya, non-current. Okay? Notes on non-current, yan. You have to remember this kasi malimit sa problems with regards to current. Ang tatanong ay, is it current or non-current? So, you have to remember these notes. You have, if financing on a long-term basis is completed on or before the end of the reporting period, the refinancing is an adjusting event and therefore the obligation is classified as non-current. So, ito ay di ba kanina is after the reporting period but before the issuance of the authorized financial statements, current siya. Ito, nangyari yung refinancing before the end of the reporting period. So, automatic, nagiging non-current siya pag before December 31. Okay? So, if with discretion to refinance or roll over an obligation for at least 12 months, ito yung with discretion ha. You have to remember that refinancing should be ang discretion niya ay nasa entity, nasa iyo na may utang. Okay? So, with discretion to refinance or roll over for at least 12 months after the reporting period under an existing loan facility, nagiging non-current siya. Okay? So, again, with discretion to refinance, ang discretion ay nasa iyo. Okay? If with unconditional right under the existing loan facility, the first settlement of the liability, the obligation is considered as part of the entity's long-term refinancing. Ito naman, with unconditional right, kasi diba kanina, definition ng current liabilities is you have no unconditional right to defer settlement. Ito, pag ikaw ay with unconditional right, plus with discretion to refinance, siya ay considered long-term. Okay? Non-current. So, yan. Next, we have covenant. So actually, this is malalim na version ng kontrata, often attached to borrowing agreements with represent undertaking by the borrower. Mas maraming papeles ang pinipirmahan. Okay, restrictions on the borrower as that undertaking further borrowings, paying dividends, maintaining specified level of the working capital, and so forth. Okay, ma'am, ba't nyo binanggit? Kasi when you breach covenants, automatically the liability becomes payable on demand. Obligations and contracts. You remember? Okay? So when the liability, when the contract is breached, okay, ibig sabihin may nilabag ka sa provisions ng kontrata, and it's with regards to utang, the liability becomes payable on demand. So ibig sabihin, kung may nilabag ka ngayon 2020, pero ang maturity date niya is 2030 pa, kailangan mo siyang bayaran ng 2020. Okay, payable on demand. Kasi may nilabag ka. Okay, standard has provided that such a liability is classified as current even if the lender has agreed after the reporting period and before the yun yung sinasabi natin kanina na if na-settle naman siya after the reporting period but before the issuance of the authorized FS, current pa rin siya. Okay? So, it is non-current if the lender has agreed on or before the end of the reporting period. So, remember those things. Okay? Naman ang example ng breach of covenants. For example, your covenant with the enactor. Okay, so it's not actually a good example kasi liability siya. Okay, so pero sasabihin ko na din. So yun nga, for example, you are a manufacturing industry with a covenant with the Department of Environment na hindi mo sisirain yung mga coral reefs or hindi ka mag-oil spill or basta you will contribute to the preservation of the environment. If na-destroy mo yung some parts accidentally, so you have breached the covenant, ibig sabihin, yung penalty is payable on demand. Okay, so pag dinimanda ka na ng DNR, you have to pay the penalty subject na nakalagay sa kontrata kasi may kontrata naman yun. Okay, so ganun siya. O kaya naman, so let's think of something. Kaya naman, umutang ka sa bangko, sabi ng bangko, you cannot transact with all of your bank accounts, okay? If pwede yung gano'n. All of your employees' bank accounts because you have a loan with us, sa amin mo na ipapasok yung payroll account ng empleyado mo. Okay? So, tapos, nalaman na nila na yung isang empleyado mo ay hindi sa kanila. Okay, breach of provisions, kung ano man yung napagkasunduan ninyong penalty plus yung principal payment and interest of the liabilities, you have to pay it on the demand of the creditor or the bank. So, ganun. Malimit ganun yung usapan. Okay? So, next we go to presentation of current liabilities. The face of the statement of financial position shall include the following line items. So, ito yung shorter version, okay, ng line items. You have trade and other payables, current provisions, short-term borrowing, current portion of long-term debt, and then current tax liabilities. Okay, so pagkakasunod-sunod siya, hierarchy. Okay, from, tawag din for current liabilities ha. May ibang companies na hindi yan yung ginagamit. Yung mismong line item niya nakalagay. This one is parang general version. Ganun. Okay, some other matters, we have estimated liabilities, obligations which exist at the end of the reporting period although their amount is not definite. So, meron tayong mga liabilities that are not with definite value. Okay, so yung ibig sabihin, it is not measurable, cannot be measured reliably. So, estimate na lang. Estimated liabilities siya. Disclosed sa FS. Okay, until such time that they can be measured reliably. Okay, so we have deferred revenue, unearned revenue, income already received but not yet earned. Okay, so alam niyo na naman ang unearned revenue. And then we have bonus computation. So, sa guided exercises, tuturuan ko kayo how to compute for bonus computation even if it is featured in the book already. Okay, so, yon. Tapos pala. Okay, so that ends my discussion for the theories part. Okay? Kasi ma'am, ba't wala pang computation? Kasi nga, pinaghihiwalay ko yung theories sa computation. If pagod na kayo sa theories, bago kayo mag-computation, di magpahinga muna. Okay, so see you sa guided exercises and current liabilities.